How's it going, friends? On today's video, we're talking about one of the most beautiful neighborhoods in all of the Twin Cities, and certainly in St. Paul. This is Cathedral Hill, St. Paul. This is the St. Paul Cathedral, which is an absolutely beautiful structure, and it overlooks fundamentally downtown St. Paul all the way that way. Such a beautiful spot, such a beautiful property, and obviously a beautiful neighborhood. Let's get into it. How's it going, friends? My name is Jesse Lynch. I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called To the Twin Cities. You can check out our website, tothetwincities.com. But this YouTube channel is all about helping you find a place to call home here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, the beautiful Twin Cities of Minnesota. And relocations is what we do, and it's what we do better than anybody else. So if that appeals to you, then do me a favor, do yourself a favor, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell to get notified so you can see when all these videos are coming out. And if you want to work with us, we would love to work with you. You can go to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can just shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. And on today's video, like I said at the top, we're talking about one of the coolest neighborhoods in all of the Twin Cities. This is Cathedral Hill, St. Paul. And this, by the way, is from Nina's, a coffee shop right back there. I think between Nina's and Roots Roasting, it's two of the best like coffee beans, espresso beans anywhere in the Twin Cities. So if that's your thing, check it out. Y'all, right back here is Selby and Dale. It's a nice little intersection with a bunch of little conveniences, including a co-op, a Mississippi Market food co-op, which I'm a big fan of the food co-ops in general in the Twin Cities. Favorite sort of grocery store style to shop at. We have a video on grocery stores, by the way, if you're interested. We also have a podcast on it. But Cathedral Hill is technically a part of the greater Summit Hill neighborhood, which we have videos on Summit Hill as well. Big fan of Summit Hill on the whole, but I think Cathedral Hill is so interesting, so special, that it sort of deserves its own video, and that's what we're doing here. So Cathedral Hill is situated where just to the north is I-94, just to the east is Summit Avenue, more or less, and downtown St. Paul. To the south you have Summit Avenue sort of continued, it wraps around to the east, and then to the west you have Dale Street and sort of the rest of the Summit Hill neighborhood. You're only about 5 or so minutes to downtown St. Paul. Again, literally the border of the Cathedral Hill neighborhood is downtown St. Paul. Super good access to that, and really great access to so many of the like interesting parts of St. Paul. So many of the destinations that exist within St. Paul. A lot of those are in downtown, but not all of them. And yeah, you have really slick connections to pretty much everything within downtown. And you're still really close to downtown Minneapolis, probably 10-15 minutes or so from here to downtown Minneapolis, obviously depending on traffic, and then another 10 or 15 minutes or so to the airport from here. So again, very conveniently located as far as St. Paul goes. The public schools here, naturally, it's served by St. Paul Public School District, which on the whole gets a B-, but the schools specific to this area are, you know, they vary around that. You have Central High School, which gets an A. That's going to be the best rated public school for the area. And then for middle schools, you have Hidden River Middle School. That gets a C+. Elementary school, Maxfield Elementary, that gets a C. But there are some really highly regarded private and magnet schools that serve the area. In particular, Cretin-Durham Hall. It's a private Catholic school, gets an A+. Very good reputation. St. Paul Academy and Summit School, That's private K through 12. That gets an A+. And then St. Paul Conservatory for Performing Arts. That's a public charter, grade 9 through 12, so high school, and that gets an A-. The housing in the area is special, right? It is really unique in a beautiful and historic way. The houses are basically, maybe not all, but most of them are really gorgeous in one way or another, and the median sale price reflects that. Median sale price is about $800,000. Median list price is over $1 million, and at least recently, it's not a huge area, right? So there's not that many houses to go around, but for sure, median sale price pretty high compared to the rest of the Twin Cities, compared to, you know, St. Paul on average. And even the threshold to get into the neighborhood is relatively high. The most affordable home on the market right now, single family home, is just under $600,000 in this neighborhood, right? So that alone, just the barrier for entry if you want a single family home here is quite high compared to the rest of the metro. But for the folks who we help who can afford it, you know, it's really, really cool. And I think you could spend a lot of time trying to find a neighborhood anything like this for anywhere close to this amount of money anywhere else in the country. All right, y'all, I'm now walking on one of my favorite streets in all of the Twin Cities. This is Summit Avenue. If you've been watching this channel, you probably have seen me on this street at one time or another, because it is glorious. It is full of just some of the most unbelievable homes in all of the Twin Cities. And I want to talk through the pros and cons of Cathedral Hill. I think on the whole, the pros dramatically outweigh the cons, which is why probably some of the cons exist, right? The cons exist mostly because it's awesome. So first, we'll talk about some of the pros. For one, incredibly beautiful, aspirationally leveled homes, right? Just homes that people would like kill for, right? People would dream of ever getting to live, even sometimes just to stay in some of these homes because they are so beautiful. There are some more modest options, kind of blended in, but on the whole, it's gorgeous homes, and really architectural styles that are almost impossible to find elsewhere. Certainly elsewhere within the Twin Cities, and probably even in the Midwest. And another pro that I think is pretty undeniable is that Cathedral Hill is home to some of the best restaurants, some of the best shopping, high-end shopping in all of the Twin Cities. There's really great spots to eat and socialize, and again, that high-end shopping and dining situation. And really, for how small Cathedral Hill is, the amount of really, really great and like desirable restaurants that there are here is pretty wild. Specifically, one that comes to mind is a place called Handsome Hog. It was basically started by Justin Sutherland, who is a Top Chef contestant, Food Network like winner, stuff like that. So really, really good food options. The outdoor spaces here, as you can see, are beautiful, and there are some nice parks, but I think it's mostly about the fact that like the neighborhood is park-like. Massive yards, massive trees that are basically lining the streets, like old growth trees, and just these beautiful oaks that just tower over homes. It really just has this lush feel to it, and I don't know, it's what so many people want out of a neighborhood from an aesthetics aspect. Then you're convenient to both downtowns and the airport. You have really good highway access, mostly to I-94. It's really, really easy to hop on there, but you do have pretty good access basically to get around all of the Twin Cities. And then it's super walkable, super bikeable, tons of sidewalks, and like really good sized sidewalks actually. You can see on Summit there are bike lanes. Gotta love bike lanes. We have a bike video coming up, by the way. It's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty thorough. Bikeability, very high. And then of course you have good options for schools, but I think that leads into the first con, which is that maybe the designated schools aren't extremely high, right? They don't rank extremely high, but St. Paul has a really interesting school system where it's not as simple as your address is here, so you go to this school. So the charter schools, the magnet schools, the private schools come into play quite a bit. And so aside from that, which again, remember, there's really, really good school options, but aside from that, I think everything else that is maybe a negative about it is directly tied to a pro about it. So for one, it's an old neighborhood. That's some of the beauty of it. Well, that's most of the beauty of it. It's old, impressive, but you're gonna have older infrastructure in a lot of these homes. Yes, people are updating their homes, right? It's plenty of these have been really, really renovated in terms of electrical and plumbing and things like that. But you're gonna find homes here that still have fuses, right? You're gonna find homes here that have knob and tube. You're gonna find probably not the most exciting sewer lines in the front yard. Again, because it's a really old neighborhood. Then another thing is that you probably have seen bikes behind me, you have people walking all over the place. It can almost be touristy here because it's so beautiful, it's so park-like that people will just walk up and down Summit Avenue because it's awesome, right? And so you could have a house on Summit Avenue and you're gonna have people walking in front of it a lot. So really beautiful homes, big lots, you know, stunners, but not all that private compared to maybe what, you know, $1 million could get you in a suburb. But that's not what you're doing here. That's not why you're buying $1 million home in Cathedral Hill. And then lastly, it's expensive, right? Median sale price, double that of the Twin Cities. I have to include it, although it's obvious, right? I don't think anybody could drive around here, walk around here, bike around here, and think like, I bet these houses are affordable. I bet they're on the cheap end of the Twin Cities. They're obviously next level. They're obviously in the upper echelon of homes. Again, around the Midwest, I would say. Arch out. Right now I'm on the 400 block of Holly Avenue, and it's just such a pretty street. I hope that as I'm walking and, you know, it's behind me, I hope that it gets the point across, and I'll do my best to stay out of the way and obviously let things speak for it. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I have a section that I like to call the For Fans of section, which is to say, if you like what you see here, what are some other neighborhoods that you should consider? I think of it as like, what's a neighborhood that would be a cousin, you know, or a peer to this neighborhood? And there's quite a few that come to mind, although, big time caveat, Cathedral Hill is special. Cathedral Hill is kind of a one of a kind within the Twin Cities, but there are things that are close. There are, you know, places that feel overall somewhat akin to it, where your lifestyle could be probably pretty similar overall. But before I do that, I would just like to say that if you're interested in working with us, we would absolutely love to help you. You can go to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can just shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. They lead to the same spot, so totally up to you how you do it. We just ask that you do, and then we'll just take it from there, and we will absolutely crush it for you like we do for everybody. So what are some spots that you might want to consider if you're liking what you see in Cathedral Hill? For one, Summit Hill, right? The rest of Summit Hill. Cathedral Hill is part of Summit Hill, and the rest of Summit Hill has a lot in common with Cathedral Hill, as it's literally part of it. And then just to the west, you have Mac Groveland, aka or otherwise known as McAllister Groveland. Beautiful, beautiful neighborhood in St. Paul. I've lived there before. I really enjoyed living there. I would live there in a heartbeat for the right house and with the right timing, because I just think it's such a lovely, lovely place. Actually, spoiler alert, everything I'm about to say, I take that stance on. Highland Park, so that's just to the south of Mac Groveland. It is beautiful. It is peaceful and green and lush, and yeah, just really, really great, but maybe not quite as impressive, not quite as expansive, not quite as historic. Then you have Tangletown, Minneapolis, which is in the southwest Minneapolis section of Minneapolis proper. It's a beautiful area. It's small, and the reason that I chose Tangletown in particular is basically the tree situation. There's a lot of old growth trees in Tangletown, and that can be difficult to find. Even though we have tree-lined streets all over the Twin Cities, this level, like this age of tree is hard to find, right? And especially in this amount, but definitely worth checking out Tangletown. Then there's Linden Hills. I think Linden Hills has kind of an upscale village feel. It's not all too dissimilar from here, but it's like a little bit more small. And I guess a lot of the homes there are a bit newer, right? So there are some really great older historical homes, even a little bit of maybe Victorian style, but it's beginning really, really new by comparison. There's tons of new build homes going into Linden Hills, but if it's that like upscale, naturally beautiful and high-end neighborhood feel that definitely exists in Linden Hills, but just with less age, right? There are basically no new build homes in Cathedral Hill. Then we have Lowry Hill, which we have not done a video on yet, but we will. It's made it into other videos, but we haven't done its own virtual tour yet. But again, we definitely will. Lowry Hill is sort of adjacent to Uptown, and I think it's one of the closest comps in overall neighborhoods, in age of neighborhoods, and in sort of impressiveness of neighborhoods as far as like the housing stock goes. But I think Cathedral Hill is chiller. It's more calm. It's quieter on the whole. And then lastly, you have Kenwood. I absolutely stand for Kenwood. I love Kenwood. I think it's beautiful. I live right by it, and it has this very tucked in feel with beautiful green spaces, beautiful natural elements, including Lake of the Isles. And for that, I think it's a really, really good comparison. It's sought after in a similar way, and you can get stunner houses, especially along Lake of the Isles Boulevard. And that's all I got for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.